I have a soft spot for violent women. I like violent women. I'm a great fan of female boxing. I've been a fan of female boxing now for about 5 years, a little over 5 years, since Katie Taylor turned professional. Now, I'm sure you all are aware of what's been happening over the last few days. But just in case you don't, then Daniel Kinahan is an Irish gangster and drug pusher. God knows how many deaths he's responsible for, but a nasty bit of work, a truly nasty bit of work. The whole family are nasty. Now the American Police Justice Department have put a $5 million bounty on his head. They've also threatened anyone who keeps doing business with him, they'll put the screws on them. So basically everyone is walking away from this guy Kinahan. All the people he used to do business with, they're stopping doing business with him. Now he a couple of days ago, Dubai, I think he lives in Dubai, the authorities in Dubai froze his bank accounts. So he has no money. And it's generally assumed now that in the next few days he will either do a runner or he will be deported and handed over to the Americans or the Irish. Personally, I hope he's handed over to the Americans, because he'll end up in one of these, what would you call them, warehouse prisons, and he'll rot in there until the day he dies, and he'll do a hard time. So, anyhow, this man Kinahan, he's very, very popular in boxing circles. He's very popular with boxers. And in the true gangster style, he's very benevolent. You know how these American gangsters, the boss of the bosses, they would very often own a restaurant in the neighbourhood. And they would sort of hold court there. And if you had any problems, you'd go and see the boss, you'd whisper in his ear. He'd sort of, in an almost Pope-like fashion, he'd give you a sort of a blessing and let you know, I'll take care of that. And, that's how these mafioso people worked. And people would go to them for help in the full knowledge that this same mafioso was killing their children with drugs. People can be very strange like that. But anyhow, to get back to this Kinahan guy, he was basically like that. He didn't own a restaurant. He owned gyms, or he had access to them, and he would fix fights and he would look after boxers. And if you were a boxer and maybe your career wasn't going well and you needed a little bit of help, you went to Kinahan and he helped you. And he really did help a lot of boxers. And most of these boxers, of course, were working class guys from poor neighbourhoods. People who understood just how much of an animal he was. But they didn't care. They still went to him for help. And you talk to people in boxing, professional boxing now, there's loads of them who, they're just full of praise for this guy. But anyhow, it seems he's on his way down. Hopefully one way or the other, they'll arrest him in the next few days. Now, that's one type of gangster. And as I say, I'm a big fan of women's boxing, and there's some wonderful women's boxers. If you don't follow women's boxing, if you've never really watched it, now's the time to watch it. Some great boxers. And these female boxers, personally, I find them more interesting than the men. Very interesting people. And great boxers. And in the last couple of years, some of the greatest fights in the world have been female fights. So if you haven't checked it out, check it out. But anyhow, one of the really great female boxers today. Some would regard the best female boxer in the world is Savannah Marshall. Now, Savannah Marshall she's a very nice woman. She's called the silent assassin because she's very quiet, reserved, shy, modest, all of that. A very nice person. And I like her, and she's a wonderful boxer to watch. But she has a coach. Now her coach is, her coach is Peter Fury. This is Savannah Marshall's coach. Now, Peter Fury was a drug pusher. He did 10 years in prison. He was, as I understand it, the biggest drug pusher in Britain. I mean, he was big in the drug world. As I say, he got 10 years, and of course, in true gangster style, he conducted his business, he ran his empire from prison. Well, of course, then he came out of prison. He had to hand over money to the British equivalent of the Criminal Assets Bureau. He had to pay off his debts and all that. But shortly after that, he has a big house in, I think it's the south of Spain. He has a fleet of really, really, really expensive flash cars. Just like gangsters in films, he's just like that. Just like that. His lifestyle was his lifestyle was that of a gangster when he was engaging in his criminal activity. And now that he's retired from that and he's going straight, his life is still a quintessential gangster lifestyle. The big cars, the big house. And he has this gym. And it's a state-of-the-art gym, apparently out in the country. It's in a rural-looking area, very nice. And if you need help, if you're having a bad time in boxing, you need a break, Peter Fury is the man that you go to. Just like this animal, Kinahan, in Dubai. Just the way boxers go to him if they needed help or if they really needed a fight and they couldn't get it, or they needed some money. Well, Fury carries out that role in the UK. You'll see lots and lots of interviews with him on YouTube, and you'll see him in his gym, and he's like the Lord of the Manor. Standing there, benevolent, helping everyone who needs help. And he always says himself, he has plenty of money. He says that himself. He's got plenty of money. He's plenty of money coming in, and so he doesn't do the gym for money. He does that just to help people because he likes boxing. And he will tell you this. He says this all the time in interviews. He's not shy about telling you how good and how caring and how generous he is. But he is also very, very popular because he has been very generous to lots and lots of boxers, and he's helped lots and lots of people, all of whom know his background. All of whom know exactly what type of a man he is. And let me put it in plain English, Peter Fury is not a nice man. People who run the biggest drug empire in Britain, people like that aren't nice people. And when people like that go to prison, come out of prison, and next thing have their big cars, their big house, and a lot of money coming in, well, you can work it out yourself. Nobody asks them, Peter, where's the money coming from? But anyhow, he's, as I say, Savannah Marshall. This girl, lovely girl, genuinely a lovely girl. I really like her, apart from the fact that she's a great boxer. That's great too. But she understands exactly who he is and what he is. And you know, if you're a nice person, you don't take help from Peter Fury. You know, she uses his gym is now her gym, and he trains her and all this. But if you're a nice person, you don't have anything to do with people like Peter Fury. You know, if boxing was properly regulated, there's no overall regulating body for boxing. If there was, Peter Fury wouldn't be allowed within 10 miles of boxing. People like that wouldn't be tolerated in any of the sports. But anyhow, the point I'm making, as usual, I'm rambling on, not being very coherent. But the point I'm making is that if you look at Daniel Kinahan, who is a scumbag, a murdering scumbag, who has destroyed hundreds, thousands of lives, and countless people have ended up in the gutter, young people, boys and girls, with a needle in their arm because of that animal. You know the type, pure scumbag. And it's not just him, it's the entire family. Now, Peter Fury is essentially the same kind of thing. Peter Fury is just like Kinahan, except he is more intelligent. When the judge was sending him down for 10 years, he remarked on the fact that Peter Fury is a very intelligent man. You know, Kinahan, who is obviously a really clever man himself, he's nothing compared to Peter Fury. Peter Fury is a really intelligent man. And as I say, you can watch, there's lots of interviews on YouTube, and you can watch him there in his gym. And, you know, he's like a British version of Mafia. He's sort of, you know, laid back, benevolent, there to help everyone. And not shy at all about telling you how he likes to help people. And all of these people, boxers, you know, people who would have lived, you know, working class boxers, who would have lived in working class neighbourhoods that were destroyed by Peter Fury. Those sort of boxers go to him and get help. And, you know, it really is depressing how, particularly working class people, who have seen with their own eyes the horrors that these drug pushers bring to their communities. You know, you would think they wouldn't touch these people with a 10-foot barge pole, but they're only too happy to go to them if they need help, etc., etc. It really is depressing. But yeah, I'm a great fan of women's boxing. That's Chantal Cameron. She's the woman who, she's the person who, let me get rid of that. Yes, she is the person, she's the woman who got me interested in female boxing. I'd seen various female boxers for years. I wasn't impressed, wasn't really interested until I saw her fight. And she's an incredible fighter. But now, this girl Chantal Cameron, she's a world champion. She used to be with Barry McGuigan. He was our manager, or promoter, or whatever. She left him to sign with MTK Global, you know, Kinahan's company. And she made out that she left McGuigan because he wasn't treating her well. That's not true. She left because MTK Global were offering her more money and more opportunities. And she was asked, not long ago, she was asked about this whole, you know, the whole drug empire thing. She was asked, like, are you not concerned that, you know, all these stories we're hearing about MTK and this guy Kinahan and drugs, you know, are you not concerned about that? She was asked this shortly after she signed with MTK. And her answer was, well, they've been very good to me, so I'm not going to criticise them. What she meant was, I don't give a damn how many, let's say, girls have died in the gutter with a needle in their arm because of MTK Global and Kinnan. I don't care. They're looking after me. You know, I'm a huge fan, as I say, of women's boxing, and I'm a huge fan of Chantal Cameron, Savannah Marshall, Katie Taylor, Natasha Jonas, Michaela Mayer, all of these people. But the reality is, and they're all nice people, so to speak, but the reality is none of them are nice people. Oh, and by the way, all of these people are pro Black Lives Matter. They all care about Black Lives Matter. Unfortunately, they don't care about the lives of young boys and young girls living in working class communities who end their life face down in the gutter with a needle in their arm. You know. But it's all very depressing. And it's not just a reflection on boxing, it's a reflection on just how nasty people can be. But hopefully this guy Kinahan, hopefully he'll be handed over to the Americans, because he won't like it in an American prison. He really won't like it.